This is the biology first semester exam. Please answer your questions on the grade cam sheet and good luck. Question 1. A student soaked 50 lima bean seeds and 50 green bean seeds in water for 24 hours. The planted, she then planted the seeds in soil at a depth of 2 centimeters using the same amount of water, light, and heat for each kind of seed. She measured every 3 days to determine which type of seed grew the fastest. The paragraph describes A, an observation, B, a hypothesis, C, an experiment, D, a conclusion. Question 2. A lab activity requires students to insert potassium hydroxide, KOH, pellets into a narrow tube to absorb carbon dioxide, CO2. Pellets of KOH are very caustic and alkaline. Which is the safest way to put the pellets into the tube? A, use forceps, tweezers, to transfer the pellets. B, use fingers to transfer the pellets. C, pour the pellets directly from the supply bottle. D, handle the pellets with paper towels. Number 3. A scientist wants to study the behavior of bald eagles. Which of these plans should be used to study the hunting habits of bald eagles? A, analyze the eagles at the zoo for several months. B, research hawks and make inferences about eagles. C, observe the eagles along the Potomac River in Virginia for a year. D, ask a national park ranger questions about eagles. Question 4. A researcher discovers 2 populations of birds that are similar. The 2 populations live in habitats that are different. What evidence might suggest to the researcher that the birds belong to different species rather than the same species? A, birds in the 2 populations sometimes feed in different locations. B, the birds in 2 populations have different mating behaviors. C, the 2 populations of birds feed at different times of the day. D, the birds appear to be hybrids of the birds in the 2 populations. Question 5. Which of these would be the best conclusion regarding the experimental results shown? We have plant growth, growth in centimeters, and temperature. A, the tallest of this species of plant will ever grow is 50 centimeters. B, the species of plant grew best between 18 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius. C, the ideal temperature for all plant growth is 26 degrees Celsius. D, the plant will not grow above 26 degrees Celsius. Number 6. A biologist surveyed 4 islands in a chain near a continent. They identified species found on the mainland and those species that were unique to each island. Based on these results, which island is probably the furthest from the mainland? We have island species distribution, the island, the number of species common to the mainland and the island, and the number of species unique to the island. So on island 1, there's 18 in common, 2 that are different. Island 2, 16 in common, 84 that are different. Island 3, 4 that are in common, 98 are different. In island 4, 53 are in common, 11 are different. So is it A, island 3, B, island 4, C, island 2, D, island 1? Question 7. The table indicates the number of amino acids that differ in the amino acid sequence of the hemoglobin from selected organisms when compared to human hemoglobin. On the basis of this information, which organism would be classified as most closely related to humans? So we have amino acid differences compared to human hemoglobin. We have the species and the number of amino acids differences. So lamprey has 125 differences, frog has 67 differences, Dog has 32 differences. Macaque has 8 differences. Is it A, dog, B, lamprey, C, macaque, or D, frog? Question 8. Which is an important function of the cell structure in this model? So this is the fluid mosaic model with proteins, phospholipids, cholesterol, and proteins. Is it A, cell products for export, B, transferring hereditary material to offspring, C, preventing the cell from bursting due to meiosis, or D, controlling the passage of materials? Question 9. Fossil records have been studied to determine how organisms change through time. Which of the following methods for studying organisms could least likely be accomplished by studying the fossil record? A, dating organisms by relative order to their fossils. B, comparing sleep patterns of the organisms. C, determining when extinction of the species occurred. D, comparing homologous structures of the organisms. Question 10. What is the name of structure 3? We've got cell structures and functions. Structure and function. Structure 1 does protein synthesis. Structure 2 does support. Structure 3, control the cell functions. Structure 4, storage of water, waste, and food. Is it A, the vacuole, B, cell wall, C, ribosome, D, nucleus? Question 11. Many ocean jellyfish have body surfaces that are permeable to water but not to salt. What would happen if a jellyfish were placed in an environment with a lower concentration of salt than in their bodies? A, it would lose protein into the water. B, it would lose salt into the water. C, it would gain nutrients from the water in the environment. D, it would gain water from the environment. 12. Viruses are made up of either DNA or RNA surrounded by a coating of protein. If broken down, what are the building blocks that form these molecules? A, amino acids and nucleotides. B, fatty acids and amino acids. C, fatty acids and glycerol. D, amino acids and simple sugars. Question 13. About 70 years ago, cane toads were introduced to Australia. The toads are toxic to some species of snakes, such as Dendrophilus punctalis. The longer an individual snake is, the greater its chance of survival after eating a cane toad. Which of the following did scientists most likely observe in the D. punctalis snake population as a result of the presence of the cane toads? A, the entire population was killed by toads. B, the entire population became resistant to the toads. C, the average body length of the population increased. D, the average body length of the population decreased. "14. In a student experiment, 4 earthworms were placed at each end of the compartment as shown. After 10 minutes, all of the earthworms were together in the same area. The students concluded that the earthworms had moved as far as they could in that period of time. Which alternative explanation is also supported?" We got earthworms on each side. This is the initial. We have temperature shown here. After 10 minutes, we have all 8 earthworms right there. So A, the earthworms preferred to be in protected corners. B, the earthworms needed to be with each other for warmth. C, the earthworms moved to their preferred temperature range. D, the earthworms moved randomly until they grouped together. Question 15. The main reason that eating salty foods makes a person thirsty is that additional fluid is needed to A, prevent damage to the lining of the throat. B, maintain the fluid balance in the cells. C, dissolve salt crystals in the stomach. D, increase the salt concentration in the blood. Question 16. Which of the following units would be most appropriate to measure the volume of can of Coke? Is it A, Mg, B, Ml, C, G, D, L? 17. Cells of plant and animals are being studied. Which of these would be found in both cells? A, cilia, B, mitochondria, C, cell wall, D, chloroplast. 18. Some fish travel from saltwater to freshwater, or from freshwater to saltwater, but still maintain the concentration of salt in their cells. This is an example of A, cellular injury, B, homeostasis, C, positive feedback, D, mutation. Question 19. A student constructs several terrariums like the one shown. Each terrarium is exposed to a different amount of sunlight each day. In order to determine the ideal amount of sunlight, which of the following variables must be held constant? A, the amount of sunlight received, B, growth rate of plants, C, type of plants, D, wavelength of sunlight. Question 20. Which of the following is evidence to support the idea that two different species might have a common ancestor? A, many of their genes are the same, B, their methods of respiration are alike, C, they use the same means of locomotion, D, their fossils were discovered in the same location. Question 21. A student looking through a light microscope saw this cell in cytokinesis. Cell plate nuclei. The cell is most likely from A, a bacterium, B, a plant, C, an animal, D, a virus. That concludes part 1 of the biology exam. Go to the second file to listen to the second part of the exam.